Hey there, it's Graciela here. In today's video, we'll be learning about the convert time zone and format datetime functions in Power Automate. For that, we're going to be working with this SharePoint list, which is a list of projects. All of them have a date where when this is going to start and a date when it is estimated that it will end. So we're going to be working with these two columns to play with the two functions, the convert time zone and the format datetime. So for that, I have already created a workflow, which is for now just a test, and we're gonna name it format datetime in Power Automate, and this is going to just run on demand whenever I run it, but these functions will work with any trigger. So for now, what we are going to do is we are going to extract the content, the row of one of the items that we have in SharePoint. We are going to be working with ID 142 for now. So I'm just going to add a new action, which is going to be the get item. And let's select the SharePoint side. Then the SharePoint list, projects, and then we're going to be working with item 142. And we are going to be, for now, working with the initial date, which in this case is 6/8/2020. So I'm going to save. And you can also see, for example, we can also get the created on column. That's going to be really useful to see the times in which things are shown and when we should be using either the convert time zone and the format datetime. So here in, if I right click on it and then I do version history, we're gonna see that these items were created last year. And here we see that it was created at 9:32 a.m. And we're gonna see how that looks whenever we extract the content of the item. So for now, let's just hit on save. And then let's quickly test it. I like usually having one tab where I am editing the workflow and one tab where I am looking at the executions, so I can compare and make any updates if required. So here I just extracted the item 142, and if I click on show row outputs, we see, if I look at the created column, we see that this was created when we extracted from SharePoint at 5 p.m. And if I look at the start date, which it's this one, we can see that this one is only storing the actual date. So this is because in SharePoint, we have it set up in a way that this column only saves the date and not the time. So in this one, the only thing that we would need, for example, if instead of showing the date in this format, we want to show it in a different format, we're good with using it as it is. But this one, if we say, for example, this project was created at 17:32 or at 5 p.m., then in that case, we may have some issues because this is the way that usually systems store the data. It's in universal time zone. That's UTC. So this is UTC. And this is different from the time zone I am located. And if I hover over the time, it's telling me here that this is being shown in UTC -8. So in this case, for example, El Salvador is UTC -6. So, but this one is UTC -8. So that means that from the time that SharePoint is saying that this was stored, this is just the universal time. But in this time zone, it was 9:32. And if I hover over this as well, it's going to show me the same time zone. Usually the time zone in which things are shown, it's based on the user location or on the user setup in their profile. So this will show different for me, and for someone that is, for example, in France, it will show the time zone that they have. But in the backend, things will always be saved in this universal time zone, which is UTC, which is exactly the same time as the UK. So this one, in this case, for example, if I want to say this was created at 9:30, I would have to convert it to a different time. So that's when the difference between converting the time zone and formatting comes into place. Because when we need to convert into different time zones, that means that we need to change the actual time or date in which something is shown. For example, for now, for me, it's August 23rd of 2025, and it's 8 p.m. In El Salvador, we are UTC -6. So for now, in UTC, it would be around 2 a.m. So this means that for UTC or for the UK, for example, or in Europe, it's already the 24th. So in this case, if I, for example, edit this record, and we just add here some numbers, and then I rerun my flow, we are going to see that this will show as tomorrow's date instead of my time zone now, because it's SharePoint is storing it in UTC. So we don't only need to convert the time, but also the date, because if I open this and I have a look at the modified column, you can see here that it says August 24th at 2 a.m. So in this case, we need to completely change this time zone into the time zone that the user is in, or whatever time zone we need to show it in. So we're going to use the convert time zone action, or the convert time zone function when we want to change the date or the time that is showing to convert it into a different time zone. And we're going to use the format only if we want to display the date in a different format. Like just if instead of looking at this in year, month, day, we want to see it, for example, Monday, 8th of June of 2020. If we want to see it in this format, or if we want to see this in Spanish, for example, then we would use the format, because the format keeps the original date. The format datetime action keeps the original date, and it just changes how it's displayed to the user. The time zone conversion is really useful when we want to show the dates and times in a specific time zone, if we don't want them to be in UTC. And the format datetime is really useful if we want to send, for example, a notification, or if we want to a date to be shown in a specific format, in a Word document or in an Excel document, anything like that, then it's when it becomes really important. So for that to be visible in our workflow, what we need to do is I'm going to add a new action, and I'm going to add a compose action. And here I'm going to add some text that says format datetime. And below I'm going to do convert time zone. So here I'm going to add the expression builder, and I'm going to write format datetime. As soon as we open this, we select it, and then we open parentheses, we're gonna see it has 3 different parameters. The first one is the timestamp. That means what's the date that we want to format. Then what's the format we want to apply. And finally, this is an optional one. Well, the previous one is also an optional. Whenever there is this question mark, that means that it's an optional parameter. And then the last one is which language we want to show it. In this case, for example, if I want to convert or to format the starting date, which is this one, we want to format this in, let's suppose, just the month name and the year. It's really important that months are represented by M's in uppercase, and minutes are represented by M's in lowercase. So in this case, we need to do it upper and then the year. And then let's suppose, for example, I want to show it in Spanish. And there we go. And then we hit on add. Now for converting the time zone, in this case, let's open the expression builder. And let's use the convert time zone. Here we have different options. We have convert from UTC, convert time zone, or we also have convert to UTC. In this case, if we are working with SharePoint, we can use the convert from UTC. That is really useful. And the first thing that it takes as parameter is what's the time that we want to convert. Let's suppose, for example, that's the created time. Then we have the second parameter, which is the time zone that we want to convert this to. And finally, if there's a format. What I think it's pretty cool about the convert time zone functions is that they already have integrated the option to format it. So this is like a combination of converting or changing the time or the date, plus also converting the format in which this is displayed. For us to know what are the acceptable strings for the destination time zone, there is a reference in the Power Automate page, or that is also for the logic apps. And here we can see a list of all the default time zones. If I open this, then here it's going to show me what are the different time zones that we're working with. So in this case, the way that SharePoint is showing is -8, which is this one. So this is the one that we can copy. We just need to copy the name and put it in between single quotes. So I'm going to add it like that. And for now, I'm just going to leave these two actions. I'm going to do add. We're going to write here from UTC. Then let's do the other option, convert time zone. And let's open here, convert time zone. This is the one that is general, that doesn't specifically refer to just UTC. And we can see here that we have one additional parameter, which is the source time zone. The timestamp will stay. Here we need to get what's the date that we want to convert. Then it asks us for what's the source time zone. In this specific case, it's as well UTC, but if we know it's a different one, we would just need to write what is shown here, the time zone name that we have in this table from the Microsoft documentation. And then we can do what's the destination time zone. Let's do this time UTC -6, just to have it differently and see the difference. Let's copy this name and just place it here. So now let's click on add, and we can hit on save. And then let's execute what we had left from the previous run. And now we're going to see that it's going to show the different formats. We can see that the format datetime, it's showing the date, which was 8th of June of 2020. Now it's showing it in this format, and it's showing it in Spanish. So I think that's pretty cool, because not only showing it in a different format, but also in different languages. And then here we are converting the UTC created datetime, which was around 5 p.m. and it's converting it to UTC -8. And here we are converting it from UTC to UTC -6. So here we can see how we are actually changing the datetime or the timestamp that we have in the created column to a different one, because we are pretty much changing or reducing the number of hours that we need to reduce based on the formula. Something really important about the format datetime is that there are some standard or predefined list of format for dates, and that can also be found in the Microsoft documentation. So instead of us writing, for example, as we had here, MMM and then YYY, we can pick whatever format we want. Let's open the link that is here, standard date and time strings. And here we can pick which is the best that we want. For example, if we want a full date, then we don't need to pass the whole format. We can just pass, for example, an F, and that will show us the format in full format. And for example, this one, it's a G, so it's a general datetime pattern that we can also use. So we can pick here if there's anyone that we want to apply it to that is a standard format, and we can just copy what's the initial or what's the character that is represented, and then we replace it here. If I click on update and then I hit on save, now we're gonna see how this, instead of saying June in Spanish -2020, it's going to show us the format as it's shown here, because we use the full day pattern, which is the short time. Okay, it's saved, and let's resubmit. Now if I open the compose, now we can see that it says the name of the day and then the full date, even the time, and here it's all in Spanish. If we don't want to show it in a specific language, we can just remove the third parameter, and it's going to show the information in English. So if I hit save and re-execute, it's going to show it in that format. So let's resubmit. And here in the convert time zone, we can also pass, for example, that we want this in full format. So I can also either apply a specific format that I want, for example, MM and then Y, or just month with 2 digits and then the year with 2 digits. Or I can also pass it. I'm going to leave this one like F, and we're going to leave the other one in the other format, which is MMM, YY, and then let's say, for example, we want to include the day as well. For some reason, we want it in this order. And then let's suppose that we also want what's the hour, minutes, and seconds. We can do it like this. Lowercase h, lowercase m, and lowercase s. They mean hours, minutes, and seconds. And we can always confirm this information here in the standard format dates. You can see that we have it here, and there's as well a custom date that we can look at how it's going to work. We can see here, for example, the CS and zebra means the hours offset from UTC. For example, if we want to compare how many hours differences we have between two dates and the UTC and the date we're passing, that can also be done. So there's a lot of documentation on the different formats that we want to use. And if I just re-execute, we're going to see that this one will show the full format in English because we are no longer passing a parameter for it to show in a specific language. Then this one is going to show the full time in the format that we have it there. And this is also going to show it in full format. If we open the compose, now we have it here. It's in English as we said it would be. This one is, we have the month, the year, then the day, just the name of the day, not the number, and then the time. And then here we have it in full format as well in English. So we can see here that we are just replacing how it looks, but in the convert we are changing what's the original or source time. Now let's try to do this same thing for the end date. And we're gonna see how that looks because this one is empty for this specific record. So if we open the editor and let's do, for example, format datetime, then we're gonna do end date and we are gonna format it just with an F. And then let's hit on add. And let's resubmit and see how that will look. Since we had an empty date, you can see that the format datetime expects the first parameter to be something and we are passing a null. This is because we don't have any values in the end date. You can see that that is empty. So in this case, what we need to do is to pass something for it to be able to recognize if it's null or not. So in this case, it depends a lot on what we want to do, but we could do something like this. We can do if equals null, then don't do anything, just show an empty string, and if not, actually perform the operation. So we can close parentheses and then do update. And then let's hit on save, and we're gonna see how that works. The other option for us to not work with the if and all of that, let me copy this and add it below. The other thing that we can do is to, of course, if the use case that we're working with actually allows for that, the other thing that we can do is if there's no date, then use today's date. That's another option. So for that, we can use the coalesce option or the coalesce function from Power Automate. And this one expects different parameters, and it's going to just find the first value that is non-null. So in this case, we are saying if this is null, then give me UTC now, which is the current time in UTC. And then we can close parentheses and we can add here this and then just a comma. And what we're doing here is saying format this in full format, the full format we were looking at, and use as a priority the end date of this column, but if it's empty, then just use UTC now. This would be reasonable if our use case allows for that, and if we actually want to replace a null value by the current time zone. If not, we can use this other one that is an if, that if it's null, then pretty much do nothing, and if it's not null, then actually perform the formatting. Now let's re-execute and we're gonna see how even if it's null, it's no longer going to give us the error because now it's not null. So if I open, we're gonna see that we have the different options here. This one is the one that we said it should be empty if it doesn't do anything, and here it's the current datetime in UTC. And probably the last thing that would be worth mentioning now that we're talking about converting and time zones, there is a built-in tool that we can use in Power Automate to convert time zones. And for that, we can use it, and it works pretty similar to what we were working with in the functions. I can, for example, select the created datetime, then said this comes in UTC, and I want to convert it to Central America time, which is UTC -6. And then I want to convert it in any specific format. By default, there are some that come here. I can say, for example, use this M, and it will format it in this way. But I can also do enter custom value and just do the whatever format I need this to be shown on. So we can also use this action, which is to convert time zone. If we just want to convert the format in which something is shown, we just need to keep the source and time zone the same. If we, for example, just want to format the created into something different, we can just select the same time zone in the source and destination to just convert it. But in that case, probably it's just better to do the format datetime. So it's really important to remember that this action exists. I think it's pretty useful, especially when we're going to save some value and then use it later in the workflow. So it stays saved in the workflow, and we can use it in any step after it. But it's mainly used to convert. But we can, in some cases, use it to format if we keep the two of them equals in the action. And that's it for now when it comes to the format datetime and convert time zone functions and action in Power Automate. I hope that this was useful for you. See you next time.